my mother did exactly the right thing. I think it's absolutely extraordinary.
Royal watchers were left stunned when King Charles finally addressed Princess Anne's powerful new role within the monarchy. For months, speculation swirled behind palace walls, with insiders hinting that major changes were quietly taking shape at the heart of the royal family. Now, the king's unexpected remarks have revealed a development few saw coming, raising fresh questions about the future direction of the crown and Anne's growing influence. Could this surprising decision mark one of the most significant royal shifts in recent years? So, what do you think about Princess Anne's new royal role? Is King Charles making the right decision? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy uncovering the latest royal developments and palace secrets, please subscribe. The palace decision that changed. While much of the public attention remained fixed on the future of the monarchy, one of the most important decisions inside the palace was unfolding almost unnoticed. Behind the grand ceremonies, official appearances, and carefully crafted statements, the royal household faced a challenge that could not be ignored. With King Charles balancing the demands of the crown while undergoing medical treatment, the question was no longer whether additional support was needed. It was who could provide it without disrupting the delicate balance of the monarchy. Many assumed the answer would naturally be Prince William. As heir to the throne, he seemed the obvious choice, yet reality painted a far more complicated picture. At a time when Catherine, Princess of Wales, was focused on her recovery, William found himself carrying responsibilities that stretched far beyond royal duties. He was supporting his wife, raising 3 young children, and preparing for the enormous role that awaits him in the future. Adding the full burden of the king's daily responsibilities to that already demanding life would have placed extraordinary pressure on him. That reality forced attention elsewhere, and the solution came from a figure who had spent decades quietly proving her value. Princess Anne was never the loudest member of the royal family, but she had long been regarded as one of its most dependable. Unlike newer generations of royals, Anne's understanding of the institution was built through direct experience rather than study. She had witnessed major political transitions, met world leaders across different eras, and observed the monarchy adapt to changing times from a position few others could claim. What made her particularly valuable was not simply loyalty or dedication. It was perspective. Being only slightly younger than the king meant she shared many of the same experiences that shaped his understanding of duty and service. She remembered events not as historical lessons but as moments she had personally lived through. In an institution where tradition often guides decision-making, that kind of knowledge carries enormous weight. By the time discussions intensified throughout 2024, the choice seemed increasingly clear. Rather than overburdening the future king during a challenging period for his family, the palace could rely on a royal who combined experience, discipline, and deep institutional memory. In many ways, it was not a dramatic revolution, but a practical solution. Yet it also revealed something fascinating. When the monarchy needed stability most, it turned not to its future, but to one of its most trusted veterans. Princess Anne became one of the monarchy's most trusted figures, not through ambition, but through unwavering duty and quiet reliability. But how did someone with no apparent desire for power become such an essential force behind royal stability? And what forgotten rules from her early years helped shape the remarkable role she holds today? Let's uncover the astonishing details. Princess Anne's quiet power revealed. Power inside a royal family is often measured by titles, influence, and proximity to the throne. Yet one of the most trusted figures in the modern monarchy built her reputation through something far rarer: the complete absence of personal ambition. That unusual quality has quietly made Princess Anne one of the most dependable people within the royal institution, especially during moments when stability matters more than prestige. Many people forget that the rules governing royal succession were very different when Anne and her brother, King Charles III, were children. Under the system that existed at the time, sons automatically moved ahead of daughters in the line of succession. As more brothers were born, Anne found herself pushed further from the crown, despite being older than some of them. By today's standards, the arrangement seems outdated, but it produced an unexpected result. Because Anne was never realistically positioned to seek the throne, she grew into a royal figure whose motives were rarely questioned. That unique position gave her something more valuable than power: trust. When Anne carries out duties on behalf of the monarch, few people see hidden agendas or political calculations. She is not viewed as someone building a rival court or gathering supporters for future advantage. Instead, she is seen as a steady representative of the crown, focused entirely on the task at hand. In a world where motives are constantly examined, that reputation has become one of her greatest strengths. The confidence placed in her did not appear overnight. Long before Charles became king in September 2022, Queen Elizabeth II had spent decades relying on Anne in situations that required judgment, discipline, and discretion. While other royal engagements often attracted headlines and public attention, Anne was frequently sent to places where diplomacy required patience and careful handling. Across the Commonwealth and beyond, she represented the crown in environments where relationships were sensitive and political circumstances could shift quickly. Those assignments became a practical education in statecraft. Year after year, Anne learned how to navigate difficult conversations, maintain constitutional neutrality, and represent the monarchy without creating unnecessary controversy. By the late 20th century and into the 21st, she had earned a reputation for reliability that few public figures could match. Today, that long experience explains why Anne remains such a vital presence within the royal family. Her greatest strength is not her title, her rank, or even her decades of service. It is the fact that people believe she acts without self-interest. In royal politics, where trust can be difficult to earn and easy to lose, that may be the most powerful asset of all. Princess Anne rarely commanded the dramatic headlines that followed other royals, yet she quietly became one of the monarchy's most trusted and effective figures. How did she earn such extraordinary respect behind the scenes, and why did her decades of unwavering service make her indispensable when the crown faced its most challenging moments? Let's find out. Princess Anne's legacy of service. Long before the public fully understood her importance, Princess Anne had already become one of the most dependable figures within the British monarchy. While headlines often focused on more dramatic royal stories, Anne was building something far more valuable behind the scenes: trust, experience, and an unmatched reputation for getting difficult jobs done. She was not simply attending ceremonies or appearing for photographs. Across the United Kingdom and beyond, she carried out demanding diplomatic duties, represented the crown in sensitive situations, and earned respect through years of steady service. As questions about the future of the monarchy grew, especially during the final years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, those years of dedication suddenly became more significant than ever. Inside royal circles, there was increasing awareness that the institution would soon enter a new chapter under King Charles III. The challenge was not only about succession, but also about ensuring stability during a period of major change. At the same time, several figures who had once occupied important positions within the royal structure were no longer viewed as practical choices for key constitutional responsibilities. Prince Harry's move to California and his separation from royal duties had altered his role dramatically. Meanwhile, Prince Andrew's controversies had created a different set of complications. The monarchy needed reliable hands, trusted individuals who could step forward if circumstances ever demanded it. That reality helped shape one of the most carefully planned decisions made during the closing months of Elizabeth's reign. In late 2022, as the Queen reflected on the future of the crown, Parliament approved changes to the Regency Acts that carried consequences far beyond legal wording. On the surface, the amendment appeared technical. In reality, it was a masterstroke of long-term planning. By ensuring that Princess Anne and Prince Edward would serve as working counselors of state for life, the Queen quietly strengthened the foundation of the monarchy for years to come. The move guaranteed that experienced and active royals would be available whenever the sovereign required support. It also avoided public controversy while resolving constitutional concerns that could have become far more complicated later. For many royal observers, the decision confirmed what had been evident for years. Anne was no longer simply a respected member of the family. She had become one of its most essential pillars. Every title, responsibility, and honor she accumulated along the way had pointed toward this moment. By the time the transition to Charles's reign arrived, the groundwork had already been laid. The monarchy had its safeguard, and Princess Anne stood firmly at the center of that carefully designed plan. Princess Anne earned immense respect through decades of unwavering service, not public attention, but what made her one of the monarchy's most trusted figures. Why did Queen Elizabeth II grant her one of the crown's highest honors? Stay tuned as the remarkable story behind her dedication and influence unfolds. The honor that defined Anne. Before controversy and change began dominating royal headlines, one figure quietly cultivated a reputation for dedication and reliability, earning the respect of multiple generations within the monarchy. While others often attracted attention through public appearances and dramatic moments, Princess Anne became known for something far less glamorous but far more valuable: unwavering service. That reputation reached a defining moment in the late 1980s, when Queen Elizabeth II granted Anne the prestigious title of Princess Royal. Far more than a ceremonial honor, the title carried centuries of tradition and reflected a deep level of confidence. It signaled that Anne was not simply a member of the royal family, but a central pillar in preserving its stability and purpose. Years later, Scotland offered its own powerful recognition, when Anne was appointed to the nation's highest order of chivalry in the mid-1990s. The honor reflected much more than royal protocol. By then, she had spent years working closely with communities, charities, and organizations throughout Scotland and across the Commonwealth. Her connection to people extended beyond formal ceremonies, creating a reputation for dedication that was difficult to ignore. Yet perhaps the clearest display of her importance came decades later, during the coronation of King Charles III in London in the year 2023. As crowds filled the streets and the world's cameras focused on the historic event, Anne occupied a position rich with symbolism. Serving as gold stick in waiting, a role linked to the monarch's protection and personal trust, she rode directly behind the king's coach in full military uniform. The image was unforgettable. It was not merely a nod to history, it was a public declaration that the king relied on her loyalty, judgment, and strength. Behind this story stands another figure whose influence has often gone unnoticed. Vice Admiral Timothy Lawrence entered royal life quietly during the mid-1980s as a naval officer serving Queen Elizabeth II. Unlike many associated with royal circles, he never appeared interested in fame. Instead, he became known for steady support, particularly in helping Anne manage the extraordinary demands of royal duty. The value of that commitment did not go unnoticed. Queen Elizabeth recognized his service with a significant royal honor in the year 2011. Later, King Charles elevated him even further, awarding him one of the highest distinctions within the Royal Victorian Order. The gesture carried a clear message. It was not simply recognition for years of service. It was an acknowledgement that Timothy had become an essential part of the royal institution itself. Together, Anne and Timothy represent a quieter kind of royal influence, one built not on headlines, but on trust, loyalty, and decades of dedication behind the scenes. Princess Anne's rising influence did not emerge overnight. Its roots stretch back through decades of loyalty, duty, and unexpected personal connections. But how did a relationship from long before Queen Camilla entered the royal spotlight shape today's royal dynamics? Could decisions made years ago explain why Anne now stands at the center of one of the monarchy's most intriguing power shifts? Let's unravel the details. Princess Anne's forgotten royal connection. Years before talk of shifting influence began echoing through Buckingham Palace, a quieter story was taking shape, one defined not by crowns, titles, or public spectacle, but by unwavering loyalty, a deep sense of duty, and relationships strong enough to endure the test of time. At the center of that story stands Princess Anne, a royal whose growing importance today can be traced back to choices made many decades ago. Few people remember that before Queen Camilla entered royal history, there was a period when Anne shared a close and meaningful relationship with Andrew Parker Bowles. Their bond was rooted in common passions, particularly their love of horses and equestrian life. Many believed the connection had real potential, yet circumstances beyond personal feelings stood in the way. At the time, royal traditions and constitutional restrictions created barriers that made a future together difficult. Although the romance ended, the friendship never truly disappeared, continuing quietly even after Andrew later married Camilla. The years that followed took everyone in different directions. Anne married Captain Mark Phillips, while Andrew and Camilla built their own lives. Eventually, Anne found lasting stability with Vice Admiral Sir Timothy Lawrence, a man whose presence would become one of the strongest foundations of her life. Unlike many figures connected to the monarchy, Timothy never sought the spotlight. Instead, he remained a steady source of support, while Anne devoted herself almost entirely to public service. That dedication would become her defining characteristic. Year after year, Anne built a reputation not through headlines, but through relentless work. By carrying out hundreds of engagements annually across the United Kingdom and beyond, she earned a level of respect that few public figures ever achieve. While others attracted attention through controversy or status, Anne became known for simply showing up and doing the job. Today, as discussions continue about influence within the royal institution, many observers see a striking contrast. Camilla may hold the title of Queen Consort through her marriage to King Charles, yet Anne's authority comes from something entirely different: decades of proven service. In public opinion surveys conducted in recent years, Anne consistently ranks among the most admired members of the royal family, often alongside Catherine and the enduring legacy of Queen Elizabeth II. For many Britons, Anne's growing role is not viewed as a reward handed to her by the palace. It is seen as the natural result of a lifetime of commitment. In their eyes, this is not a sudden rise to prominence. It is recognition that has been quietly earned over generations. Princess Anne's rise in influence did not begin with a royal title, a grand ceremony, or a moment in the spotlight. So what was the quiet turning point that earned her the trust of both the public and the palace? And how did a deeply personal reflection reshape perceptions of the monarchy at a time when authenticity was in short supply? Let's uncover the intriguing details. The moment Anne earned trust, long before the public began discussing Princess Anne's growing influence within the royal family, a single moment revealed why so many people had come to trust her judgment. It was not during a grand ceremony, a state visit, or a carefully staged palace appearance. Instead, it came through a deeply personal reflection that allowed the nation to glimpse the human side of a family often hidden behind tradition and protocol. As conversations about the monarchy intensified following the events of 2022 and the coronation year that followed, many people were searching for signs of authenticity. They found it in Anne, while appearing in a BBC documentary that explored one of the most delicate periods in modern royal history. She spoke with a level of honesty that few expected. Rather than focusing on crowns, titles, and ceremonies, she reflected on her mother's final days at Balmoral in Scotland and the emotional realities that accompanied them. What struck viewers was not merely the story itself, but the way Anne told it. She revealed that Queen Elizabeth had worried about the complications her passing might create for the government and the family. Anne's response was simple yet powerful. She encouraged her mother to set those concerns aside and spend her remaining time where she felt most at peace. It was a reminder that behind every royal responsibility stood a person carrying an enormous burden. That same honesty appeared again when Anne described watching the imperial state crown being removed from her mother's coffin. Her feelings surprised many. Alongside grief, she experienced relief, not because the loss hurt any less, but because she knew the decades of duty and sacrifice had finally come to an end. At that moment, people saw not a princess speaking about a queen, but a daughter speaking about her mother. The impact of those words extended far beyond the documentary. They helped explain why figures such as Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, have shown such respect for Anne's role within the family. They understand that her reputation is built not on publicity, but on consistency, integrity, and hard work. By allowing Anne to take on greater responsibilities, William has been able to focus on supporting his family while preparing for the future. More importantly, the arrangement reflects something increasingly rare in public life: trust, and in a monarchy navigating change, that trust may be one of its most valuable assets. For years, attention centered on royal ceremonies, titles, and public appearances, while a more important story developed behind the scenes. Why has Princess Anne's influence grown during one of the monarchy's most challenging periods? How has her steadfast dedication helped shape the crown's future and made her a symbol of stability? Let's find out. King Charles' ultimate trust revealed. For years, public attention often focused on titles, ceremonies, and the familiar faces standing on palace balconies. Yet behind the scenes, a far more important story has been unfolding, one that says a great deal about the future of the monarchy and the people trusted to protect it. At the center of that story stands Princess Anne, a royal whose influence has grown not through publicity or personal ambition, but through reliability, discipline, and decades of steady service. As the royal family navigates one of its most challenging modern periods, King Charles has made a series of choices that reveal where his deepest confidence truly lies. While Queen Camilla continues to appear beside the king at major state occasions and carries the respected title of Queen Consort, the responsibilities that shape the daily operation of the crown increasingly point elsewhere. The most sensitive duties, the demanding administrative work, and the responsibilities connected to continuity and stability have gradually highlighted Anne's importance within the institution. That reality carries a powerful message. In royal life, titles may attract attention, but trust determines influence. And trust is something Princess Anne has earned over many decades. Her reputation was not built through speeches or carefully crafted headlines. It was built through showing up, completing difficult tasks, and placing duty above personal recognition. As uncertainty surrounded the monarchy following health challenges publicly acknowledged by King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales, the need for dependable leadership became even more apparent. Unlike previous generations that often shielded personal struggles from public view, the monarchy has adopted a noticeably different approach. When Charles revealed details about his treatment, and Catherine spoke openly about her recovery, the institution signaled a new era of transparency. Rather than pretending everything was perfect, it embraced a more human image. That shift has resonated with many people across Britain and beyond, particularly in an age when authenticity often matters more than tradition alone. Within that changing landscape, Anne's growing role feels less like a temporary adjustment and more like a carefully considered strategy. The king appears to recognize that preserving the monarchy requires practical solutions, not old illusions. By relying on his sister's experience and judgment, he is demonstrating a willingness to adapt to modern realities while safeguarding centuries of tradition. Meanwhile, the long shadow of Diana continues to linger in public memory, shaping perceptions of different royal figures even decades after her death. For Camilla, that legacy remains an unavoidable part of her story. Yet, for Anne, public admiration has steadily expanded because she represents something different: consistency without drama. That is why her rise has captured so much attention. In a period defined by change, Princess Anne has become a symbol of stability, proof that the monarchy's future may depend less on ceremony and more on the trusted individuals quietly carrying its weight every day. So, what do you think King Charles' shocking comments about Princess Anne's new royal role really mean for the future of the monarchy? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe.